Russia and Ukraine. Are you seeing to Zelensky tomorrow? And what are you hoping
I'm speaking to President Zelensky tomorrow, early in the morning. And, I'm very disappointed with the conversation I had today with President Putin, because I don't think he's there. And I'm very disappointed. Well, it's not, I'm just saying, I don't think he's looking to stop. And that's too bad. This is Biden. This isn't me. This is Biden's war. It wouldn't have happened. If I were president, it wouldn't have happened. So, I in one way, I had to get too involved because it's Biden's war. And I got stuck in the middle of it, just like I did with immigration and a lot of other things that they screwed up. But I was not happy with the conversation, no.
This is my video update on this Friday afternoon, July the 4th, coming to you from Belgrade. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the Putin-Trump phone call that took place yesterday. And it was a phone call that lasted for about 1 hour. We have a readout from the Kremlin, actually a readout that was provided by Ushakov, to be more accurate. And we did not get a White House readout. I don't think we got a Trump post on Truth Social about the phone call. What we did get is some Trump statements to the media on the phone call with Putin right before he was boarding Air Force One. So the Kremlin readout was overall positive. It was a positive take on the phone call between Trump and Putin. Putin wished Trump a happy July 4th. Happy July 4th. Everybody that is watching from the United States of America, happy 4th of July. And Putin wished Trump and the United States a happy July 4th. He mentioned that the US and the Soviet Union, Russia, were not only allies and partners in World War I and in World War II, but he said that that the Soviet Union was standing next to the United States during the Independence War, the Revolutionary War, and during what else did he say? During the Civil War, he said that Russia was by the United States' side as a partner. And they talked about this is all coming from Ushakov's statement on the phone call. They talked about Iran. They talked about the Middle East, Syria. And they also mentioned, or at least Putin mentioned to Trump, that he spoke with some Russian businessmen. And they have an idea for the United States and Russia to exchange films which highlight each country's traditional values. And Trump liked this idea. Trump also mentioned to Putin that the BBB, the Big Beautiful Bill, had passed, and he was very happy, and Putin congratulated Trump on that as well. It is plus 40, I believe, today in Belgrade. So I left the hot to come to the hot, I guess. So let's stand under this tree for a little bit of shade. And yeah, that was what they discussed. And then, of course, towards the end of the readout, Ushakov talks about Project Ukraine and what they discussed about Project Ukraine. So everything was really good in the first parts of the readout. Then they get to Project Ukraine, and look, Putin said we're up for negotiations. We're trying to find a peaceful, political, diplomatic solution to Project Ukraine. We're not against negotiations. We're not against trying to find a diplomatic solution. But we get towards the end of the paragraph which discusses Project Ukraine, and it says that he, in reference to Putin, Also noted Russia was willing to pursue negotiations. Additionally, the president of Russia said that Russia would strive to achieve its goals, namely the elimination of the well-known root causes that led to the current state of affairs, the bitter confrontation that we are seeing now. Russia will not back down from these goals. While exchanging views on bilateral matters, the two sides confirmed their mutual interest in implementing a number of promising projects in the economy, notably the energy sector and space exploration. And that was the end of Ushakov's readout on the phone call. So obviously Putin told Trump, when it comes to Project Ukraine, we are going to achieve our goals. Either it's Istanbul plus root causes, or we will continue with the special military operation. One way or another, Russia is going to complete the goals of the SMO. Russia will not back down from these goals. So then we had Trump's statement to the media, and Trump told the media when he was asked about the phone call with Putin, Trump said that there was no progress on Project Ukraine. The New York Times says Trump says call with Putin yields no progress on Ukraine ceasefire. The apparent impasse came during a roughly hour-long conversation between the leaders on Thursday morning. So Trump was talking up the BBB because it did get through the House, and today Trump is going to sign the BBB. So Mike Johnson, the Republicans, they got it through. It was looking yesterday like it would not make it in time for July 4th, but it did make it, barely 218 votes to 200, I believe, and 14. So it just barely passed, but it did pass, and that's what matters. And for Trump, it was very important to get the BBB on his desk so he can sign it on July 4th, right before the United States celebrates its independence. America 250 is what Trump is branding this July 4th. America 250, and he was speaking yesterday, and he said that there's going to be a big celebration and UFC fights to celebrate America 250, and he was very happy about the BBB being passed by the House. He congratulated Speaker Johnson. He congratulated the Senate, and he told Putin how happy he was, and that was really what he was wanting to talk about with the media. But of course, they asked him about the call with Putin and whether he was able to get a ceasefire. And Trump's response was pretty short and to the point, saying that there was no progress on a Ukraine ceasefire. He said he's upset about that. He did say that he's upset about the fact that he was unable to get a ceasefire. And later on, he was speaking to the media. Later on in the day, on Thursday, he was speaking to the media again, and he was asked about the cutting off of weapons to Project Ukraine, and Trump said that the United States is still giving weapons to Kiev. We're giving weapons, but we've given so many weapons. We're giving weapons, but we've given so many weapons, Trump told reporters before boarding Air Force One on Thursday. You know, Biden emptied out our whole country giving them weapons, and we have to make sure that we have enough for ourselves. But we are giving weapons, and we're working with them and trying to help them, Trump added, without providing specifics about the exact weapons withheld and still being supplied. This is a nuanced answer, a nuanced reply about the cutting off of weapons, but it's an honest reply, an honest answer from Trump. It is absolutely true that, at least from my understanding of things, that the United States continues to give weapons to Project Ukraine, mostly from Biden's drawdown mechanism, not from a new weapons package from Trump. Trump, since he's been in office, has not asked Congress for more money and more weapons to Project Ukraine. Project Ukraine is still working off of Biden's drawdown package, and they probably have about a month or two, maybe 3 more months of the Biden drawdown package left. But the United States is still giving weapons to Ukraine. But according to the Pentagon Review, some weapons have been stopped from going to Project Ukraine. Important weapons, like I said in my video update yesterday, Patriots, artillery shells, Stingers, manpads, stuff like that. And Zelensky really needs the Patriots. That's what Zelensky really is asking for, the Patriots, the interceptor missiles and stuff like that. But it's true that the United States has not fully cut off Project Ukraine. And it's also true what Trump said about the United States being demilitarized, courtesy of Joe Bidenopoulos, Greece's favorite son, Joe Bidenopoulos. We're going to get to Joe Biden in our clown world. But yeah, he said it. Biden gave Ukraine a ton of weapons, so many weapons that the United States is now low on weapons. And we saw that the United States is low on weapons during the conflict with Iran. One of the main drivers for the United States to get to a ceasefire with Iran is the fact that Israel and the United States were not able to keep up in the war of attrition with Iran. They were not able to get the regime change in a week, and Iran successfully shifted the conflict to a war of attrition. Israel definitely cannot keep up, and Israel needed the United States' support to keep up with Iran in the war of attrition. And the United States said, nope, we're not going to be able to wage an extended, prolonged war of attrition, at least not yet. And Trump is right when he says that the United States gave a ton of weapons to Project Ukraine, for which the Russian military completely obliterated, using one of Trump's favorite words, obliterated and ground down all of the U.S. weapons provided to Project Ukraine. So Trump's reply was honest. Not all the weapons have stopped, true. And we're low on weapons, man. That was what Trump said, we're low on weapons. As I said in my video update yesterday, if the United States had the weapons, they would give it to Project Ukraine. If they had enough weapons to give to Project Iran, to give to Israel so they can continue the conflict with Iran, so they could wage a war of attrition with Iran, if they had enough weapons to give to Project Ukraine so that they can keep up with the Russian military in the war of attrition in Ukraine, the United States would do it. The United States provides intel to Ukraine, so they're still doing that. But they just can't do it. The United States cannot keep up, and that's what Trump was saying. Quite an admission from Trump, but a realistic and accurate admission from Trump. So Politico put out an article with the title, Russian Oil or Mass Layoffs, a German Town's Conundrum. In Schwedt, life flows through an oil refinery. If it does not get help or restart Russian imports, people worry their jobs will be gone. So in this Politico article, it talks about a town in Germany which heavily relied on Russian oil, a refinery, an oil refinery town, I believe in East Germany, this town of Schwedt. And since the sanctions on Russia, the town is suffering, man. The town is suffering. People are out of work, and either the sanctions get lifted, and they start getting some of that very dependable, very cheap, dependable Russian oil, or Schwedt, Germany, is going to be a ghost town. But that's not the main point of the Politico article, at least not for this video update. Way down, it's a long article too. Way down in the article, it mentions that, well, it mentions two things. The first thing it mentions is that in Europe, they're starting to crack. Business leaders, politicians, they're starting to actually press the German government and all across the EU, especially since Trump became president, to just lift the sanctions on Russia. They're tired of the sanctions on Russia. They're starting to realize that Ukraine cannot win. Ukraine has lost this conflict. The collective West has lost this conflict. So it seems kind of useless and stupid to continue the sanctions against Russia, especially when you have towns in Germany that are shutting down, and people, hardworking people, who depend on Russia, and now they're going to lose their jobs, their home, everything, because of this dumb sanctions policy. But there are still European officials who told Politico, we're not going to go back. We don't care. This is what they told Politico. We don't care. We are not going to remove sanctions on Russia. We don't care whatever the consequences are. That's fine with us. That's what some of the political elite said. They don't care if people lose their jobs and their homes. But there are a lot of people now who are starting to say enough of the sanctions. So that was the first takeaway from this Politico article. The second takeaway has to do with the United States. And way down in the article, it talks about the U.S. and the U.S.'s energy sanctions and energy policy towards Russia. Let me just read you what Zlati71 says about this Politico article, because he summarizes it really well. He says, Europe on alert. White House Special Envoy Witkoff advocates lifting energy sanctions on Russia, Politico reports. At the same time, Interior Secretary Doug Burgum would prefer to push Moscow out of the energy market to boost U.S. energy exports. Discussions are underway within the Trump administration on the issue. Meanwhile, Moscow is holding talks with Washington on reviving the Nord Stream project, and EU officials are concerned that Trump and Putin want to divide the European energy market and create separate spheres of influence, according to a European official. So basically what Politico is reporting in this article, after it's done talking about this town in Germany, it says that in the White House right now, when it comes to working with Russia and Trump's energy policy with Russia, you have two competing factions. On the one side, you have Witkoff, who is saying, look, President Trump, it's time to lift energy sanctions on Russia. Let's start working with Russia. Let's work with Russia on Nord Stream. Let's control the energy market in Europe together, the United States and Russia. Let's bring the price of energy down. That'll benefit your economy, Trump. That'll benefit the American people. It's just a win-win-win for everybody, except for the globalist class in Europe and the EU. But hey, I guess it still is a win-win for everybody. If they're losing, then it's a win. But that's Witkoff's line. Trump should listen to Witkoff, but the other faction is led by Burgum, Doug Burgum, and he's taking the hawkish America unipolar hegemon stance on this, and he wants to push Russia out, and he wants the United States to take over all of the energy market in Europe. So what Trump needs to do is he needs to tell Burgum to just sit in a corner and be quiet, and he needs this time around to just listen to Witkoff, man. Trump, I thought Witkoff's like your best buddy. Listen to the guy. For once, listen to Witkoff. Anyway, interesting article from Politico. And yesterday in Kiev, talking about the conflict in Ukraine. Yesterday in Kiev, Russia smashed Kiev yesterday. That's what I want to say. Russia completely smashed Kiev. Something like 500 drones were sent into Kiev and 13 missiles. I believe Kinzhal, Iskander, Kalibra. And the Russian military smashed Kiev. Ukraine air defense, even in Kiev, even in the capital, where the Zelensky regime put a priority on air defense. That's probably where the remaining Patriot systems are located, is in Kiev, to protect Zelensky and his scriptwriters, protecting the capital. Air defense nowhere to be found, and the drones did damage. The missiles hit everything. The pictures coming out of Kiev is pretty horrific. A city on fire. And according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, they hit military facilities, drone factories, and airports. They targeted the airports in Kiev, the various airports where F-16s were located. And according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, they demolished a Patriot system, which was located at one of the airports, I believe, Borispol airport, which is the main international airport in Kiev. And apparently, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, there was a Patriot system there that got completely obliterated. So yeah, Russia attacks Kiev with 550 drones and missiles. Ukraine's capital burns after Trump's call with Putin. So the Ukraine military, they came out with a statement, and they said that it was a horrific day in Kiev, but it wasn't all bad news, according to the Ukraine military, because they claim, and I've seen some photos of this, but I've seen no statements or reports from the Russian side of things. But it's probably true what they're saying. They claim that they sent a drone into Sergei Posad, which is a suburb of Moscow, about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Moscow. And I believe this, that a drone hit Sergei Posad, allegedly hit some sort of military facility there. And Ukraine claims that they sent another drone into Rostov. I believe a drone is what they said. And they hit an optics plant, I believe in Rostov is what they said. So they got a couple of hits yesterday with drones. Hard to tell what the damage is to these plants in Russia. Keep in mind that these attacks have to come from NATO. NATO must be coordinating these attacks and providing the intel on these attacks. So as Trump is speaking with Putin, he's well aware of the fact that NATO and the United States continues to help Ukraine launch attacks into the Russian Federation. So Putin and Trump are talking. They're getting along. They're having a good discussion. Trump is trying to get to the Kallas ceasefire. Trump, just give up the damn Kallas ceasefire thing. Just give it up. Focus on Istanbul Plus. Order Zelensky to agree to Istanbul Plus. That is what you should be doing, U.S. President Trump. Not listening to the boneheads like Kellogg or Doug Burgum or these guys. But as they're talking, Putin is launching attacks into Kiev, and the United States is launching attacks into Russia, right? So a bad day, a very bad day for the Zelensky regime and Kiev. And it looks like the Russians, when you look at a map of the Russian attacks from yesterday and all of the Russian attacks over, say, the past couple of weeks, it looks like Russia is cranking things up big time. That's the way it looks. Russia is really, really cranking things up. Something tells me that they're going to make, I don't want to say a big move, but they're preparing for an uptick in how they've been conducting the conflict up to now. I think they're gonna crank things up, and they're going to start really, really demolishing the Ukraine military and the Zelensky regime. That's the way it looks to me. That's the way it looks on a map when you see everything that they've hit. Russia's going to make it to the Dnieper. They're going to take Sumy, and Kiev is going to be in trouble. The Black Sea is going to be in trouble. What Ukraine controls of the Black Sea is going to be in trouble. You can see it's coming. You can see it's coming in the next 3 to 6 to 9 months. Anyway, let's shift gears. Let's shift gears and go to the meeting between stunning and brave Kallas and the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. I talked about this briefly in my Clown World update yesterday, that Kallas hosted Wang Yi, and the South China Morning Post. Don't know if I trust these guys. The South China Morning Post. They put out an article where they claim that during this meeting, Wang Yi told Kallas that China will not let Russia lose, because if Russia loses, then China understands that the collective West is coming after them. This is what the South China Morning Post claims their sources are people familiar with the discussions. those people familiar with the discussions. Who are these people familiar with the discussions that we keep on hearing about from these media sources? I need to find some of these people familiar with things. That would make my reporting a whole lot easier. Anyway, the title of their article is China Tells EU It Does Not Want to See Russia Lose Its War in Ukraine. Sources. Wang Yi speaks of concern that the U.S. could shift whole focus in China's direction in talks with top EU diplomat Beijing. So, do I believe this reporting? Maybe a little bit of it. Maybe a little bit of it, but let me read you the first paragraph of this report from the SCMP, the South China Morning Post. It says Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi told the European Union's top diplomat on Wednesday that Beijing cannot afford a Russian loss in Ukraine because it fears the United States would then shift its whole focus to Beijing. According to several people familiar with the exchange, I said people familiar with the discussions, didn't I? These are different people. Sometimes you get people familiar with the discussions. Sometimes you get people familiar with the exchange. So these are people familiar with the exchange. This is what Wang Yi told Kallas during a marathon 4-hour debate on a wide range of geopolitical and commercial grievances. Wang was said to have given Kallas, the former Estonian prime minister, who only late last year took up her role as the bloc's de facto foreign affairs chief, several history lessons and lectures. Some EU officials felt he was giving her a lesson in Realpolitik, part of which focused on Beijing's belief that Washington will soon turn its full attention eastward, two officials said. Look, everyone knows that you have the China hawks who are absolutely gearing up to focus on China. If they could have defeated Russia, then it would have made going after China a lot easier. But they can't defeat Russia, and they're not going to defeat Russia, and that's very clear now. And so you do have the China hawks who are saying, let's just go straight to China now and forget Russia. And you have the Russia hawks, the Russia neocons, who are saying, no, let's not give up on Project Ukraine yet. And then we'll get to China. And then you have the Iran hawks, the Iran neocons, who are saying, just forget the Russia Project Ukraine. We've lost that. Let's focus on Iran. And then when we can get Iran out of the picture, take Iran out of the picture, then we can focus on China. Or maybe circle back to Russia. Who knows what the Iran hawks are thinking? Maybe they're thinking, let's circle back to Russia once we get rid of Iran. You have all of these neocon hawks, different factions of these neocon hawks. Collectively, they're in alignment. They agree. They hate Iran. They hate China. They hate Russia. They want to dominate the world. They believe in unlimited power, unlimited weapons, unlimited money. Unlimited power, right? That's what they believe in, but they just have different ways to go about it. So yeah, it is true that you have the China hawks, the Chinese neocons, who do want to take down China, and you have the Russia neocons who want to take down Russia and then go to China. So that part of the reporting is true, but this is no brain surgery, right? No rocket science. Everyone knows that this is the neocon grand plan, right, for world domination. Take down these three countries or these regions in Eurasia, the grand chessboard thinking, and then you rule the world. You're king of the world, right? But what do I want to say? But South China Morning Post, 4-hour marathon debate with Kallas. Really? Really? You really want us to believe this? Kallas in a 4-hour marathon debate on geopolitics? Really? Oh, man. No, I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying it. Though I do believe the part where it says that Wang Yi wanted to give Kallas lessons on realpolitik. Some EU officials felt he was giving her a lesson on realpolitik. That I can believe. I can believe Wang Yi kind of explaining the situation in the world today and telling Kaya Kallas, this is a realpolitik view of things. I could see Kaya Kallas looking at Wang Yi just saying, Real what? Real Madrid? What does this have to do with football? Is that a football club in China or something? Realpolitik? Wang Yi's probably like, oh, stunning and brave, stunning and brave. Anyway, they lost me on the 4-hour debate. Oh, South China Morning Post. You have some very creative script writers, people familiar with the exchange. Yeah, they're trying to make it out like without China, Russia's not going to win. It's all China's fault, right? They're still pushing this narrative about China ultimately to blame for what's happening in Ukraine, the defeat of the collective West. Ultimately, it's China's fault now. Nonsense, man, nonsense. Anyway, let's do some other news, and we can get to our clown world and wrap this video up. Let's see. Russia has recognized the Taliban. Russia officially recognizes the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. The Taliban adopted Afghan flag was hoisted at Afghanistan's embassy in Moscow for the first time per the Russian Foreign Ministry. Interesting move. Very interesting move, recognizing the Taliban as the government of Afghanistan. That is a realpolitik approach, Ms. Kaya Kallas. So yeah, that's Russia's recognition of Afghanistan. People are recognizing al-Jawlani from HTS Al-Qaeda in Syria. It's an upside down world, man. Upside down world. But look, the Taliban is trying to be legit, as is al-Jawlani. He's also trying to be legit. Everyone's trying to legitimize themselves so they can get to some business, right? And the Taliban was happy about this, and they're hoping that other nations will follow suit, because a big power like Russia recognizing the Taliban, the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan, it's a big move, which most likely other countries will now follow Russia's lead on this, and that's going to give the Taliban legitimacy. So Denmark is now the president of the EU, of the European Council. They took over for Poland. It was Hungary, then Poland, and now the 6-month rotation goes to Denmark. And they had a big event in Denmark the other day, and Ursula von der Leyen was there, and the Green Goblin showed up. Of course, Zelensky, any excuse to get out of Kiev, any excuse to leave Ukraine, Zelensky's going to take it. So he was also in Denmark, and they asked Zelensky about Ukraine eventually joining the European Union, and Zelensky said that there's no one or nothing that can stop Ukraine from entering the European Union. You better think again, Zelensky. You better think again, because it does look like Russia is going to change their Istanbul Plus terms to say that not only will NATO be out of the question for Ukraine, but so will the European Union, because the logic that Russia is using, which is something that we have been saying on the Duran for about 2-3 years now, is that there essentially is no difference between the European Union and NATO anymore. If you're in NATO, then you're pretty much in the European Union, and if you're in the European Union, you pretty much have one foot in the door of NATO. So you cannot possibly allow Ukraine to enter the European Union. That would effectively be allowing Ukraine to enter NATO. So Zelensky is starting to freak out, and he's starting to panic about the fact that the EU entry into the EU will also be off the table. 3 years ago, Russia didn't care. 3 years ago, during the first Istanbul talks that Boris Johnson sabotaged, Russia had no problem with Ukraine joining the European Union. Actually, in those talks, Russia said it would help facilitate and work with Ukraine to help them enter the European Union. That was back in 2022. Man, Ukraine had a good deal during those first Istanbul talks. But Zelensky's starting to panic now. Yeah, he is starting to panic. So he was telling everybody that no, Russia can't stop us from entering the European Union. Yeah, you better think again, Mr. Green Goblin. And anyway, the government of Denmark, government officials in Denmark, said that one of their top priorities, as they assume the European Council Presidency, is to punish Hungary. They are going to push for Article 7 against Budapest, which would mean that they call this the nuclear option in the EU, in EU headquarters. This is known as the nuclear option. It's the nuclear option. That's what all of the EU globalists call this. And basically, Article 7 is that your voting rights, I believe, are stripped, right? You're not allowed to vote because it says that you've been going against EU law, and you get your voting rights revoked. So basically, you're in the European Union, but you have no say in anything. And so Denmark's big push now, as they are president of the EU, is to try and punish Hungary. Democracy, international law, international rules-based order, the European Union under the leadership of Denmark, everybody. That's a good democracy, huh? When when your voice can't even be heard. That's democracy, EU style, Denmark style, democracy, Denmark style. What did I talk about yesterday about Denmark? I did a clown world about Denmark, didn't I, yesterday? I think I did. Anyway, I forgot what it was about. Anyway, Denmark, making news. Making news. Sky News. Sky News is, I know what it was about. It was about Greenland, wasn't it? And the conscription of women. And in order to appease the United States, even as the United States is going after Greenland and telling Denmark, we're just going to take Greenland, we don't care what you say. In order to appease the United States, Denmark is going to draft women into the military so that they can please the U.S., which is saying that they're going to take they're going to take Greenland from Denmark. And there was a post from Arnaud Bertrand, which said, "This is the ultimate in vassalage, in being a vassal," right? And that was Denmark. Anyway, let's move on to the UK, where Sky News is saying that 008 Kier Starmer is toast, man. He is about to be Zelensky curse. Man, is that going to be a big Zelensky curse. Kier Starmer, Zelensky curse. That's going to be a big one. Maybe even the biggest one of Zelensky's career to date. Anyway, Sky News is saying Sir Kier Starmer could be ousted as prime minister within 2 months. 2 senior Labour MPs tell Sky News. A member of the government and a prominent MP said Sir Kier Starmer could be ousted unless Labour has a strong showing in May's election. Labour is not going to have a strong showing in May's election, man. What are you guys smoking? Kier Starmer's done. He is done. May of next year. Guys think he's going to last that long? Anyway, that's Sky News. Yeah, I think they said May of next year. Within months. I believe the article said May of next year. Yeah, May elections. Anyway. Never hear Kier, 008. The most boring man in politics. Kier Starmer. So from Representative Anna Paulina Luna, she posted on X, Zelensky banned the Orthodox Church. I can promise there will be no weapons funding for you, Mr. Zelensky. Negotiate for peace. We are not your piggy bank. All capital letters. We are not your piggy bank. What is this Podolyak? Who is this Representative Luna? She tell me US not my piggy bank. Podolyak. What's she talking about? US is my piggy bank. Yes, Mr. President. Don't worry about Representative Luna. Let's focus on U.S. President Trump. By the way, Trump is going to be speaking to Zelensky today, and Zelensky has a whole bunch of questions about the blocking of military aid. That's what Zelensky is going to ask Trump. Give me more weapons. It's either give me more weapons or give me more money or give me weapons and money. It's one of the three, right? That's what it always is with Zelensky. The U.S. is Zelensky's piggy bank. Absolutely. Definitely was under Biden. Not so much under Trump. It's a little bit of a piggy bank. Trump has 1 foot in the Ukraine door and 1 foot outside of the Ukraine door. He has to keep that 1 foot in Project Ukraine in order to please the neocons. But you can tell that Trump is just not interested. You can tell in his answer on Project Ukraine that he's not interested in Project Ukraine when he was speaking to the media. It's obvious he's not interested in Project Ukraine. Anyway, let's do a clown world and we'll wrap this video up. Neocon chief high priest neocon Bill Kristol posted on X. The current leader who best epitomizes the spirit of the Declaration of Independence is Volodymyr Zelensky. Oh, man. Oh, the replies to Bill Kristol's post on X are devastating. They're so funny. Basically, everyone tells Kristol, are you serious? You think this guy epitomizes the Declaration of Independence? The guy that bans elections, cancels elections, imposes martial law, bans the church, bans the Christian church. That guy, the guy that commits terrorist activities, the guy that has taken us to World War III. Yeah, that guy epitomizes the Declaration of Independence. Those were the replies under his post. Here's one from Douglas Ritz. The current leader who best epitomizes the spirit of the Declaration of Independence is Volodymyr Zelensky. You mean the guy who suspended national elections? You might want to put just a little more thought into this tweet. And finally, let's walk this way. Finally, let's do one more clown world and talk about Bidenopolis. I promised you we'd talk about Bidenopolis, and we are going to talk about Bidenopolis because he was speaking yesterday. I forgot where it was, but Bidenopolis was speaking, and he revealed that EU leaders, they want him back in action. They want Biden back. We want Biden back, baby. That has a nice ring to it. Let's bring Biden back. Yeah, EU leaders are very upset with Trump. Go figure. And they want Biden. They want Biden. Things were so much better with Biden. The money was flowing. The honey and the wine was flowing with Biden. He had no idea what was going on, and everyone was just getting incredibly wealthy with Bidenopolis. So of course they're going to want Bidenopolis back. So he revealed that. And then he also revealed that he's working on a book. Biden is working on his memoirs about his 4 years in the White House. He says these memoirs, this book, is going to be 500 pages long. The Democrat noted that he was focused on completing a memoir about his 4 years in the White House, adding that he is working like hell with a publisher to write another 500-page book. So Biden is working with a publisher to write a 500-page book on his 4 years as president. All right. You guys going to buy his book when it's released? Are you guys going to buy Biden's 500-page memoirs? Yeah, that's going to be a New York Times bestseller, no doubt about it. Anyway, I think I will wrap up the video there. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble and we are on X. Oh, this must be the Belarus embassy and the Kazakhstan embassy. Cool. We are on X. We are on Rumble. We're all over the place. We're on Telegram. Like this channel. Share this video. Subscribe if you want. I will see everybody tomorrow. Take care.